Hello there friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. So the showdown between Boba Fett and the Hutt twins is over before it even started. The Black Chrysanthemum, as badass as he is, couldn't take out a half-naked Boba Fett and his new cyberpunk minions. As a consolation, the Wookiee did get a taste of some pork shoulder, which I'm sure was very savory. The following day, after the failure, the Hutt twins come back with a terrific apology gift of a depressed Rancor and Danny Trejo as its trainer. But the real reason why the Hutt twins are giving up their claim over Jabba's territory is because a new force is coming to Tatooine, and for the Hutt twins, this desolate planet is just not worth fighting over. It takes just a little digging around for Boba Fett to figure out who this new power coming to Tatooine actually is. One of Boba Fett's scouts spots dozens of the Pike Syndicate soldiers disembarking of public transport at the Mos Espa spaceport. By the way, guys, I love how Boba Fett's new minions have this whole 60s mod gang vibe. But anyway, things look pretty grim for Boba Fett because he's clearly not prepared to fight off a major invasion of the Pike Syndicate. Today we're going to take a look at what this criminal organization is and why they're here on Tatooine. The Pike Syndicate, like the Black Sun and Hutts, are an ethno-criminal gang. This means that all of their members come from one species. The Pikes came from the planet of Obadiah, where the Syndicate centered its operations. Pikes can easily be identified by their oversized heads and small faces. Most Pikes wore a type of mask over their face for protection against environmental dangers. I would like to go a bit further than that and also add that the Pikes' masks are also probably designed to hide their true nature. See, the Pikes have always kept their cards close to their chests and have shown a neutral and almost friendly face to others until the moment they're ready to stab you in the back. Some might say that the Pikes look a lot like fish, but to me, their headdress always reminded me of cobras ready to strike when their enemies are weak. You see, the alien species of the Outer Rim had to either evolve biologically or culturally in order to adjust to the chaos in the region. Unlike the Inner Rim and Core, where stability was driven by a modern political and economic system, in the Outer Rim it was still very much feudal times, with many competing warlords and kings fighting over everything and anything. The Pikes have traditionally kept out of territorial battles when it didn't profit them. They are the exact definition of an opportunist. When Maul and Savage Opress joined forces with the Death Watch and started the Shadow Collective, the Pikes watched carefully as the Black Sun leaders refused to bend knee to the brothers and lost their heads as a result. The Pikes also watched the Zabrak brothers lay waste to the Hutts and their claims as well. And so the Pike Syndicate came to a quick conclusion that joining up with this new power in the galaxy was far better than trying to fight them and lose revenue and potentially their entire criminal enterprise in the process. See, the Pikes did not let their ego, emotions, or even ambitions push their organization into an uncomfortable position. Despite the fact that the Pikes were always loaded on spice, they could still see everything around them with surprising clarity. This made them an incredibly dangerous power in the galaxy, one that you really never should mess with. Some might call the Pikes cowards or claim that they lacked ambition to really survive in the criminal underworld, but that is exactly what the Pikes want you to think. They want you to underestimate them and not see them as much of a threat. When Boba Fett approaches the Pikes for tribute on behalf of the Tusken Raiders, the Pikes most likely are already preparing to take over the planet. Yet the Pike leader still boldfaced lies to Boba Fett and pretends like he's actually still interested in paying tribute to the Tusken Raiders as long as they can take care of their small Nikto speeder gang problem. As if the Pikes really cared for such trivial things. All they really wanted to do was for the Tuskens and the Niktos to wipe each other out. Very smart move by them. Now, the reason why the Pikes love spice so much is because their homeworld of Obadiah actually lies at the beginning of the Kessel Run. This essentially makes the Pikes' homeworld of Obadiah the gateway to one of the most lucrative spice mining operations in the entire galaxy. And so it's not surprising that there's a heavy Pike presence all over the Kessel system. Although it should be mentioned that the air on Kessel itself was poisonous to the Pikes, which forced their species to wear masks while on its surface. The Pike Syndicate also had a large network spread across the Outer Rim for their spice smuggling operations. But because of Kessel's location, the Pikes had to move most of their goods directly through Hutt space in order to reach the rest of the galaxy. This means that the Pikes had to pay tribute to the Hutts, which of course cut into their bottom line. Now, from the Kessel sector, instead of going galactic west directly into Hutt space, you could also move east and go towards the outer edge of the galaxy. You'll eventually turn into another shipping lane known as the Trillius Trade Route. This was a minor shipping line that ran across the outer rim from Iradu, Gamor to Teth and beyond. Tatooine also happened to lay on this trade route, and up until now, Jabba's operation had been using the Kessel to Trillius trade route to get spice shipments to Tatooine, and then Tatooine itself was just the jump away from the famous Corellian run that ran straight into the heart of the galaxy, bypassing all of Hutt space, bypassing now Hutta and Nar Shaddaa as well. And so, when you ask why was Jabba the Hutt on Tatooine, this is the reason why. And this is why people will continue to fight over Tatooine, because it is a secret start-off for another shipping lane for spice. This is also why the Hutt twins most likely aren't interested in fighting a war against the Pikes. If they manage to regain control of Tatooine, they'll have reinstated a competing shipping lane that works against their own in Hutt territory, which of course would make no sense. And so the Hutt twins made a calculation that going to war against the Pike Syndicate to shut down their new smuggling lane was just not worth it. The Pikes might be doing a lot more than just using Tatooine as a transport hub, though. In our last episode, we see the Pike Syndicate are running long hover trains full of Sansana spice across the Dune Sea. When Boba Fett and his Tusken Marauders take out the train, the Pike leader pretends to hide the fact that spice is being smuggled on board. I guess this operation is supposed to be secret for now until the Pikes can bring enough reinforcements to secure their infrastructure here. When Jabba the Hutt controlled the planet of Tatooine, such brazen violations of territory weren't an option for the Pikes. But with the fall of Jabba and the chaos that followed, the Pikes saw their opening and started secretly building their smuggling route from the shadows. It's even possible that the assassins from the Order of the Night Wind were hired by them and not by Mayor Mok-Shaiz. The Order of the Night Wind could only operate in Hutt space, so this might have even been an attempt by the Pike Syndicate to turn Boba Fett against the Hutts. So Boba Fett is in a tough position now. While he's slowly recruiting more and more individuals to his cause, the Pike Syndicate represents too large of a threat for him to face alone. His small fledgling organization is pretty local and lacks larger funding, so Boba Fett can't really create much of an army right now. He might still have the element to surprise, though. The Pike Syndicate definitely know he's around, but he's definitely not the largest threat on their radar. There are other major powers on Tatooine they still must contend with. The Hutt twins have been dealt with, though, and most likely they'll be out of the way for the time being, and the Tusken Raiders that guarded the Dune Sea are also gone. But you still have the many local vassals that are loyal to Boba Fett for now. Boba Fett is going to have to reassure the Trandoshans, Oculus, and Klatooinian gangs that control Mos Espa that his rule is preferable to the Pikes. And so in the next few episodes, Boba Fett is going to have to Commander Shepherd the hell out of Tatooine and find as many allies as possible. The Pikes will continue flowing onto the planet as they establish a more permanent infrastructure and potentially even warehouses and refineries for their spice shipments. Or perhaps the Pike Syndicate aren't even the real big bad guys here. Maybe they're not the Reapers, maybe they're only the Geth, a subsidiary of a much larger criminal organization that rose out of the ashes of Maul's Shadow Collective. We of course are talking about the Crimson Dawn, the shadowy and populist criminal movement that looks to redistribute wealth and power across the galaxy, like some futuristic take on Robin Hood. And at their head is the Dragon Lady herself, who apparently, from what I've heard, is looking for redemption after her last venture. So there you have it, guys. That's all we know about the Pike Syndicate and what they're doing on Tatooine. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about my theory, if you think it checks out. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.